Kyrie Irving is one of the most beloved and misunderstood stars in the entire NBA, but his signature line from Nike is pretty much universally loved. However, which Nike Kyrie sneaker is the best of them all? Well, in today's video, that's what we're gonna try to figure out, because this is every single Kyrie sneaker ranked.
Irving puts it up. It's good. Kyrie Irving from downtown.
Starting off the list at number 6, we have the Nike Kyrie 5. So here's the thing. I'm not a big fan of the 5s, and that definitely affected its rating. However, having the 5s at the bottom of this list really just made me realize how good the Kyrie signature line actually is. Despite my problems, the 5s used a more streamlined design from its predecessor with an overall slimmer build and sharper lines, but some say it kind of just looked like a Kyrie 3 with a shroud over it. But nonetheless, the 5s were definitely an aesthetically pleasing model that saw a ton of great colorways, like the super popular SpongeBob pack, as well as some sweet PEs that weren't available to buy, but still showcased everything that the 5s had to offer visually. Nike also introduced 2 new tech features with the Kyrie 5, with the Lotus Flytrap lacing system inspired by the plant of the same name, providing a snug 1-to-1 fit that was really nice and performed pretty well. But the marquee piece of tech in the 5s was hands down the introduction of Zoom Turbo cushioning. Fans of the Kyrie line were asking Nike for a long time to put Zoom Air in the forefoot, since up to this point every other Kyrie except the ones only featured Zoom in the heel, and what we got with Zoom Turbo was an articulated bag that would allow the unit to go along with the curvature of the outsole, which had become a staple in the Kyrie line. The end result was just okay. You couldn't really feel the zoom in the forefoot, but that did allow the 5s to maintain that low to the ground feel that all the other Kyries had before it. So if you're looking at this glass half full, you could say that the cushioning was a small minor improvement that didn't stray too far away from what the whole series made its name on. But if you're looking at a glass half empty, that Zoom bag didn't really feel like Zoom. And then there was the traction. Now, there was some controversy surrounding the traction here, because in my performance review, I showed with video footage that the traction was not just bad, but it was awful. It was one of the worst setups that I've ever tested. And I did get a lot of people in that video commenting that they had the complete opposite experience, and they thought the Kyrie 5 had one of the best traction setups that they've ever used. So what this tells me is that the Kyrie 5 had a consistency problem. And if I could walk into Foot Locker with my own money, which is what I did, I didn't get these sent from anyone, I bought this with my own money, and if I could get a pair with an outsole that is absolute trash, that could easily happen to you. So does the risk outweigh the reward? That's really up for you guys to decide. But for me, the traction was awful, the cushioning was disappointing, and that's why these are my least favorite Kyrie of all time. But I do respect its fans, because it certainly is one of the cleanest looking Kyries that Nike has ever put out. And the amount of colorways that they released were staggering as well. It was definitely one of the best retail runs in the entire series, with my favorite colorway being that Taco PE that Kyrie debuted the 5s with on court. But yeah, no matter how good it looks, these are just awful to play in, and that's why they're at the bottom of the list. Next up at number 5, we have the shoe that started it all, the Kyrie 1. Now, for whatever reason, I seem to like the Kyrie 1 a lot more than most people. And I think what really impressed me about these, especially when they first came out, was how geared these were towards Kyrie and his particular playstyle. You know, that being a quick guard who's fast and frenetic, but also in control. All the improv in his game was just really fun to watch. And I thought this shoe was really fun to play in. And all the design elements that Nike implemented in this debut signature sneaker really just pushed the consumer to feel like they could too play like Kyrie. So to me, these are just one of my favorite Kyries of all time. The Kyrie 1 actually featured a small zoom unit in the forefoot that was surrounded by a Phylon foam midsole, which I personally thought provided a decent amount of bounce, but for the most part, the 1's cushioning was a fast, low to the ground ride that had guards who love to make quick changes in direction in mind, with impact protection being minimal at best. The traction featured a slightly curved outsole with a full-length herringbone pattern that wrapped all the way up onto the front of the midsole for a shark teeth-like design, which set the tone tone for the entire Kyrie line moving forward as a regular feature on virtually every Kyrie since, and also just gave the shoe an identity with a visually striking feature that had a purpose performance-wise, since that wrapped up traction provided additional coverage during extreme changes in direction. The materials consisted of an open mesh fused design, and while I wasn't the biggest fan of the upper, the rest of the shoe visually is one of my favorite from this series. The geometric heel cup and mid-cut collar, as well as handful of awesome colorways, made these, in my opinion, an above average debut signature sneaker that I actually kept in the gym bag even after I was done testing them, thanks to their usability on outdoor floors, as well as their wallet-friendly price point of only $110. So when you couple that with the fact that Kyrie was a rising star in the league, playing next to the best player in the world in LeBron James, the Kyrie 1 just had a lot of interest from fans, including myself. And when it was all said and done, I was really happy with my purchase, and I was very excited to see what Nike and Kyrie had lined up for us in the future. So that's why the Kyrie 1 lands at number 5 on our list. And plus, come on, this dream colorway is absolutely bananas. And this was actually the debut colorway for the Kyrie 1. And I'm really disappointed that Nike hasn't put this colorway on a Kyrie since, but I guess one could dream, right? Coming in at number 4, we have the Kyrie 3. Now, I passed on the Kyrie 3. I'm not proud of it, but other sneakers just got in the way at the time. However, not only do I think the Kyrie 3 is one of the best looking Kyries ever, I mean like top 2 visually, but apparently the encore performance was on point as well. The traction, per usual, absolutely killed it with multi-directional coverage, and the new Kira material on the back end of the upper looked great visually, but also added durability to the mainly mesh upper on the forefoot that was a lot more flexible and breathable than its predecessors. The cushioning, on the other hand, was pretty disappointing, since there was virtually no cushioning whatsoever other than the Zoom Air unit in the heel, which kind of felt odd since Nike had designed the Kyrie line specifically for guards, and guards usually stay on their forefoot, but the rest of the Kyrie 3 performed so well that users were inclined to forgive the minimal cushioning. The Kyrie 3 is also where we were introduced to the fan favorite Mamba Mentality colorway, which took elements from previous Kobe Bryant signatures and blended them in with the Kyries. And Nike also equipped Kyrie with a ton of great player exclusive colorways during his time with the Boston Celtics, which only showcased the sharp visuals of the 3 even more and convinces me further that the Kyrie 3 is probably the best looking Kyrie Nike has ever put out. The only thing really holding these back is the lack of cushioning, because everything else is there, and the rest of the shoes on this list do everything the 3s do, but the cushioning is just better. So in the grand scheme of things, the Kyrie is the 4th best Kyrie of all time, but let me know where you have these ranked in the comment section below. Next up at number 3, we have the Kyrie Force. Now this is a shoe that really surprised me, because I gotta be honest with you guys, when I got my first look at the Kyrie 4, I was not a fan of them visually, and I actually had become very irritated at Nike for not giving us adequate cushioning in Kyries, which is probably why I didn't pick up the 3s, but I decided to pick these up and give the Kyrie line another shot. And let me tell you guys, at the time, these were easily the best performing Kyries ever. The standout feature, at least to me, was Nike's implementation of both new and old materials with an engineered mesh forefoot coupled with a suede heel panel that was surprisingly high quality for the $120 price tag. On top of that, the cushioning was the best that it had ever been in the entire Kyrie line, with the usual Zoom unit in the heel, but with the added benefit of a full-length Cushlon midsole that reduced the overall firmness found in previous Kyries and added a softer plush feel. The traction also performed very well, however on dusty courts it was a little inconsistent, but for the most part I didn't really notice anything wrong with the traction when I was playing in them, and at the end of the day the 4s were the best performing Kyrie to date, and looking back, it's probably the most well-rounded Kyrie of all time, since these sturdier materials allow bigger players to get the most out of what the 4s had to offer, instead of just guards like the Kyries have catered to in the past. As for the 4s visually, I personally thought it was a slight step back since it took on a more rounded design philosophy, but Nike made up for it by bringing back the teeth on the forefoot, as well as giving us great colorways like the entire cereal pack and the handful of exclusive PEs that Kyrie rocked on the court. Overall, the Kyrie 4 provided great performance, decent visuals, but killer colorways, and personally, these are just my favorite Kyries that I have ever played in easily. But keep in mind that I have not played in the 6s yet. However, speaking of the 6s, coming in as our runner-up, we have the Nike Kyrie 6. The latest model in the Kyrie signature line sports a familiar look thanks to its midfoot strap, mid-cut collar, two-tone upper, as well as 3D heel cup, which all look like they've been inspired by one of the most iconic sneakers Nike has ever made, the Air Yeezy 2. That alone is enough to drive interest and favor from not just fans of Kyrie's, but fans of sneakers in general, since the Kyrie 6 is hands down the most appealing model in the entire series to rock off the court, thanks to the ability to create custom Air Yeezy 2 colorways via the Nike By You service. Aside from looks, the Kyrie 6 is also a banger on the court with excellent traction, additional security thanks to that midfoot strap, as well as solid cushioning with an injected Phylon midsole to pair with a Zoom Turbo unit in the forefoot. I've always thought that the 6s were more of a direct successor to the 4s since they use a similar build with multiple materials on the upper, but overall the Kyrie 6 is just a great on-court performer that I actually featured in my top 5 sneakers of the year list, so if you haven't checked that video out already, definitely do that. But at the end of the day, the visuals are what stand out most with the 6s, and had we seen Kyrie rock them a little more throughout the year, they might have took that #1 spot. But if we've learned anything from sports, legacy is what really matters, and this next shoe on this list is definitely the most legendary Kyrie sneaker of all time. Finally, at #1 as the best Kyrie signature sneaker ever, we have the Nike Kyrie 2. Okay, so the main reason why I wanted to make this list is because Kyries are super popular. I mean, every gym that I go to, I see a ton of Kyries on the floor. It's just one of the most, if not the most popular signature line out right now. And the Kyrie 2s were perhaps the most popular Kyrie of them all. Now, for the record, I never really liked the 2s. I never understood the appeal, but like I said, they were just everywhere, and I can't deny their popularity as well as their legacy since they were the sneaker that Kyrie wore when he hit the biggest shot in NBA history. Now, apart from its legacy, the Kyrie 2 was also made popular thanks to its visual appeal and above average on-court performance. While the cushioning and materials left something to be desired, the traction, fit, and wallet-friendly price point really helped bolster its popularity with both fans and consumers. The outsole leaned more into the curved design that the Kyrie 1 hinted at and really gave the line this identity of a guard-friendly shoe that made the user feel lighter, quicker, and faster, while also providing one of the most responsive traction setups of all time. Leo Chang, the same guy who designed some of our favorite KDs, implemented a unique strap that instead of going left to right over the midfoot like a traditional strap, it kind of curved behind the ankle, securing it in place and providing a snug one-to-one fit that made sure the shoe stuck with you at every bank, turn, and stop, while also looking unique visually since it was the only sneaker on the market with a collar strap. Now, for reasons unknown, Nike decided to remove Zoom Air from the Kyrie 2 completely. At least that's how it felt since they moved the forefoot unit in the 1s over to the heel in the 2s, leaving us all with a sense of mass confusion since the curved outsole was obviously a play at the guard market and guards rarely use their heel, but that didn't seem to bother many as the Kyrie 2 again was one of the most popular sneakers during its retail run. When these dropped in the winter of 2015, Kyrie was a rising star in the league, and his direction of his signature line, albeit young and still in its early stages, was going up right there with his status as a top 10 NBA player. So even though the 2s had its flaws, we as fans just knew, like we knew Kyrie was going to be a multiple-time All-Star, that his signature sneakers would only get better from here. So that, coupled with the fact that Kyrie wore these during the defining moment of his professional career, is why I feel the Kyrie 2 is the most important Kyrie Nike sneaker of all time. Don't forget to let me know what your favorite Kyrie sneaker is in the comments section below, and if you haven't already, join the Jerron mob by clicking on my logo and subscribing to the channel for more sneaker related content just like this. Again, my name's Jaron. It's been great having you. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.